So earlier when we crossed this point, it was quite low and we could step. And now the water's come higher. I don't know how we're gonna get across there.
This was a very stressful situation. Stuck in no man's land, on the verge of being swept over the edge of Asia's largest waterfall by the ever-rising river. After finishing an amazing few days in Halong Bay, we decided to try something a little different. A day's drive northeast of Hanoi lies hundreds of miles of mountainous, rural landscape, still relatively untouched by tourism compared to the rest of the country. So Paul and I did some research online, and to our amazement we found that right at the top of the country is Asia's largest waterfall, the breathtaking and surreal Ban Gioc, which marks the border between Vietnam and China. Inspired by our recent success with random tip-offs.
Oh god.
This is all the other tourists that have come in here and been killed. And feeling like this unexplored region of the country must be ripe with the kind of adventure we were after, we decided to journey north from Hanoi on a quest to seek out this mythical waterfall. Hello, and welcome back to Jamalon. Three mates who decided far too late in life to start a YouTube channel. This series you joined Paul and I in Vietnam on a 10-day quest to search out a unique adventure in one of Asia's most popular tourist destinations. It's beautiful, cultural, and as always, a little chaotic.
Holy sh**. Oh no. What is going on here?
Welcome to the Jamalon Vietnam series.
So, we were ready to leave the hustle and bustle of Hanoi and journey north. The plan was to take an overnight sleeper bus to Cao Bang, where we'd hire some motorbikes and ride another day north to the border. It was a plan that sounded pretty easy at the time, but it wasn't quite that simple.
Paul, what do you think the chances are we're going to get on the bus to the right place?
I'd say 88% chance.
Do you think we're going to miss the bus?
Yeah. So we've got here, no one speaks English. We're unsure if we're about to go on the correct bus.
So this is the tiniest sleeper bus I've ever seen in my life.
This is not a sleeper.
Oh, what is going on here?
Where are we going? We're meant to be on a sleeper bus and instead we've just been put in a taxi.
So we can't get a bus to Cao Bang now.
That's really irritating.
Just so frustrating. So we had a pickup arranged at 7:30 organised by the hotel. The driver was late, so we missed the bus. We were put into a taxi and we've just realised that we've gone the opposite direction. Now we're stopped in the middle of nowhere. I think the taxi driver's a bit mad and yeah, he's not taking us anywhere, so things are going well.
Things were not going well, but finally the taxi started heading north into the mountains towards Cao Bang, or so we thought anyway.
The vision's really not too crash hot outside.
Is this mist?
Literally can't see a thing.
Right, so it's 2:30 in the morning and we've stopped up in a mountain pass somewhere because I think our driver's getting pretty tired. It's pretty flipping cold now. We slept most of the way in the car and then we hit the mountain pass and it's like Colin McRae Rally 3. Our driver is absolutely hammering it. We've overtaken the bus that we were supposed to get, so that's good. And we're just in here having some tea in little man's house. So without much clue where we were or how far we had to go, we sat around the fire drinking tea with our new friends until the early hours of the morning.
James, enjoying that, mate?
Yeah, I'm just cracking tea.
Not off to a terrible start, all things considered. We woke up in the morning to find our taxi driver had returned to Hanoi. So we said goodbye to the lovely hosts that we didn't know and made our way to a nearby town. where we worked out roughly where we were. About halfway to the waterfall, having some tea with some of the local chaps over here. Hopefully get to the waterfall by sunset. So, armed with some vague directions, we hired a couple of mopeds and headed north towards the mythical waterfall.
It was an incredible ride through the mountains, with all the hassle of the previous night soon forgotten as we snaked our way further north. Somehow, we were back on schedule and on track to make it to the mythical waterfall just in time for sunset.
Again? Seriously?
Okay, James, what's going on here, mate?
So, we're trying to do this really awesome driving shot through these mountains over this pass here. And I got a little bit cocky with my drone piloting skills. And I might have crashed it into a tree.
Which tree? This tree?
Up there somewhere. I've got 4 minutes till the battery runs out, so I've got to crack on. But hopefully we'll have it and I'll be able to show you a pretty cool clip.
Let's go get it.
Addy mode.
Well, no sign of the drone on the hill. Time to go for a climb.
Me, don't want to fall down that.
Oh, you alright? So, James is currently up there.
So close.
So close to the drone, so we've got it on the GPS.
Can't see it.
And he's incredibly close, but he can't, blank word, see it. Are you pretty much on top of it?
At this point, things were getting a little hairy. I was having to climb higher and higher, and still no sign of the drone. When suddenly...
I found it!
You're joking!
Well, I'm going to try and fly it back down to you.
Okay. We'd only gone and done it. James had reached the crash site after trekking 1 kilometre from the road, climbing 40 metres up a cliff, and battling through brambles to retrieve the drone that he carefully landed there earlier. You shall not take a second drone from us, you pesky Vietnamese drone gods. Now all he had to do was fly it down to me with a broken propeller and then climb back down the massive cliff face. You would not read about that. Woohoo! So James, how are we doing down there?
We've got the drone back.
James has got his shirt off, no surprises there.
My hands are cut to pieces.
But what's this over here? That is a drone.
With the drone recovered, we got back on the road, and a few hours later arrived at our homestay, ready to take on the waterfall tomorrow.
We made it to the homestay, which is on the border of Vietnam and China. So we're not far from the waterfalls, which are called link here.
Description.
Actually, the name will pop up right here. There's someone we'd like you to meet. Meet Lynn.
Yeah. Hi.
Lynn's taken care of us. She has fed us. And now apparently in the winter it's good to make foot soup. So what they do is they boil a huge pot of water, they put ginger and salt in, and you bathe your feet in it, and it's really good for you.
Oh, it's so good. It really was good, if you could handle the heat that was.
Ooh, oh, that's so hot.
Come on, you can wear it. Wear it.
Mate,
come on, you're being an absolute wuss.
It's because my toes are frozen.
Just put your feet in.
Oh my god, it's so hot. Oh, it's so hot still, Lynn.
Yeah, very good.
No, Lynn, not very good. Very hot.
He's being a baby.
No, that's so hot though. Mine must be hotter.
Paul, please man up. You're embarrassing me in front of our new hosts.
Oh, I'm sorry, James. From now on, I'll try and be as brave and heroic as you are. Never making a fuss about anything, especially if it's something tiny.
Oh my god.
Wait, hold up, what's going on there?
It seems that I have several splinters in my hands from recovering the drone earlier.
Oh my god, James, are you going to be okay? Hold up, I've got an idea. Lynn, I think we should maybe cut his hand off.
No cut.
No? Okay.
Maybe, Lynn, we just chop my hand off.
No.
Ah, good joke, James. Oh, I can't watch this. Well, how the tides had turned, Mr. Norbury.
Hey, come on, you're being an absolute wuss.
Bit deeper there.
Clear.
Clear. Hey.
Thanks to our saviour Lynn, the two big babies now had warm tootsies and splinter-free handsies. We settled in front of the fire, ready to take on the mythical waterfall tomorrow.
The next morning, we waved a sleepy goodbye to Lynn and set off into a misty sunrise. Now this was the adventure we'd been after, and we felt like old school explorers, riding at daybreak on our quest to the mythical Ban Gioc Waterfall, the largest in Asia, which marks the border between Vietnam and China.
We were lucky enough to arrive at the waterfall before any of the tourist buses got here, and one of the locals gave us a little tip off, showed us this path, which we're currently mishing our way up all the way through the jungle, which apparently not many people know about, so it's hopefully taking us up into the top of the waterfall so we can get a better view from there. So we're going to keep jungle hacking.
We climbed our way up the side of the waterfall, and whilst it was pretty cool, we knew it would be most epic at the very top of the falls. This, however, presented us with a little conundrum. What are your thoughts on, like, let's say this is a border and we're legally crossing it?
What are my thoughts on that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you raised a good point.
It was a point well raised, and then immediately forgotten, as we headed across no man's land, somewhere between China and Vietnam. No man's land was pretty tough going, as we kept a low profile.
Okay.
But after an hour-long scramble, we made it to the top of the falls.
Oh, dude! What the heck?
And it was one of the most incredible views that either of us had ever seen. We were simply blown away by these incredible cascades, which fell over 70 metres into the emerald pools below. After getting the drone up for a few shots, it was simply a case of popping back across the river and safely into Vietnam. But it wasn't quite that simple.
So early when we crossed this point, it was quite low and we could step. And now the water's gone higher. I don't know how we're gonna get across there.
Somehow, in the time we'd taken to get to the top of the waterfall, the river had risen, and we now couldn't get back over. This was a very stressful situation, stuck in no man's land on the verge of being swept over the edge of Asia's largest waterfall by the ever-rising river. It was with a sigh of relief that we eventually made it across the river and back to dry land.
Holy sh**. That was sketchy.
I've never been so happy to be back in Vietnam.
Back in there.
Fucking hot.
No.
Jesus Christ.
Little fella's pumping. That was hectic.
Okay, I think we need to get the hell out of it.
Yeah.
But in true Jamalon fashion, that wasn't the end of our problems.
Yeah, so on our little adventure up towards the top of the waterfall, I think my bike key fell out my pocket. So we're now trying to go back to find it, but we weren't allowed back through the first way. We're trying to get there another way.
Through the jungle.
I'm losing my sense of humour.
Surprisingly, or perhaps not so surprisingly, we didn't manage to find the tiny bike key in the massive overgrown jungle. So I hopped on the back of Paul's bike back to Lynn's to see if she could help us solve the problem.
So after lunch, I can go to look for the key at the waterfall.
Yeah, I see. Bạn cứ bình bừ thành phố.
You keep calm and eat lunch, then find the key at the same time. I will find the locker to help you.
Lynn, you are the best.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, no problem.
My key, at some point during our adventure hike today, fell out my pocket and I've lost it.
Question from Paul James.
Oh.
Yes, Paul?
Are you going to do something like this every day?
Sorry Paul, I'm only following your example. Crashing my drone, losing my bike key, you know the drill. But the situation was certainly not good, and I had some real concerns.
I'm just going to live in northern Vietnam now.
To which Paul and Lynn were very sympathetic.
James is silly, isn't he?
Same.
What do you think about James living here forever, Lynn?
James sẽ phải sống ở đây.
Game will take a lot of time to adapt to life.
Thanks for the vote of confidence there, Lynn.
Yeah.
You can be his new family, Lynn.
Tôi không chắc về điều đó.
I'm not sure about that.
No help.
What do you think, Professor McGonagall?
Well, could have worse. We could have got arrested when we snuck into China.
True.
But just as I was losing hope, Lynn had some good news.
So Lynn's just came over very excited. We're not sure what we've got here, but
Yeah. Tôi đã gọi cho một tôi rằng
I called a friend and he told me that they will follow you down the Ban Gioc, see if the car can be repaired.
not key.
the hot wire.
Plus, yeah.
Ah, okay.
Yes, Lynn, up top. Or not.
So we're just contacting some local thieves.
Anh người thợ sửa điện.
After lunch, I will take you to the electrician.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you, Lynn.
I have hope. I have hope.
Lynn saved the day again. Look at these socks steaming.
And so, with the sweet smell of cooking socks and some more Vietnamese bunk thieves on the way to fix our mess, we settled in for another night at Casa Lynn.
And prepped ourselves for the biggest game in Vietnamese football in 10 years.
It's Saturday night, so we're watching the game, but it's not just any game, is it, James?
It is not just any game.
It's Malaysia versus Vietnam in the Asian Cup final.
So we raised a glass for Vietnam
Cheers.
and hoped, for the love of God, they'd go.
Let's go! Let's go! Let's go! Yeah, let's go! Let's go! Oh my God! Let's go! Go! Let's go!
James, you heard Lynn, let's go.
Go Vietnam.
Yeah, Vietnam.
Vietnam.
That's the spirit, James.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
Let's go! Let's go! Ooh, let's go!
And then finally, Vietnam did go.
Up top.
And it was time to celebrate in style.
Tomorrow I want to go bucket with
You're gonna go get a bucket of duck pho.
duck pho.
Duck
yeah,
pho.
yeah.
Oh, what a way to celebrate. Duck pho's all around.
We're gonna have duck pho as well.
Yeah, I think so. We're gonna have to.
We're gonna have to go.
As we settled in for another night in the north, it was with a little tingle of excitement, the uncertainty as to what the next few days would hold. Because, despite stuffing up almost every single thing over the last few days, missing our bus,
This is not a secret.
what is going on? Where are we going? Crashing another drone, nearly getting stuck in China,
I don't know how we're gonna get across there.
and then finally losing my bike key so we couldn't return south even if we'd wanted to. It still somehow felt like a mission success. We'd quested hundreds of miles through this stunning, relatively unknown part of the country, met some amazing new pals along the way, and found the mythical Ban Gioc Waterfall. And although losing the bike key meant that we couldn't return south, and our plans for the next 4 days had gone down the drain, we were starting to get a flavour of that footloose freedom we'd been seeking. So we decided to test this newfound spontaneity. For the final few days of the trip, we attempt to go where very few tourists have ventured. Our aim? To get as lost as possible in the beautiful scenery and incredible culture of the remote north. After all, what's adventure without a little uncertainty?
Guys, would you believe right now I am 100% in China and I don't even have a visa.
Paul, get back.
Say first time in China.
Get back into Vietnam.
Okay.
Nice one.